Welcome to Conversations with a Stranger, a podcast where I get up close and personal with people from all corners of the world. On each episode, my guests will share their stories, experiences, and perspectives that'll give us an inside look at their lives. So come along on this journey as we explore the world through these incredible conversations. This episode's guest is a young man from the United States who is about to start his adult life in just a few months' time. We talk about the importance of music and the impact having a release can have on a person, how God showed himself in an astonishing way, and how important recognizing your struggles and being thankful can be. He spoiled us with some really good stories, and I do hope you enjoy this episode. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing this story on whatever platform you are hearing this one. So what brings you to the site Omegle?
Well, it's pretty cold where I'm at right now. We had kind of a big snowstorm, and so I've just been at the house. I haven't been on here in like probably a year and a half or 2 years, but I just was bored and decided to give it a shot.
Yeah. Okay. So where are you at again?
I live in Texas.
Okay, so you're in the south right now. You guys got some snow there?
We got a little bit. We had like some sleet going, and in Texas, people don't know how to act whenever it starts snowing of any kind. So people started freaking out and all that.
Do you like it there?
I do. Honestly, it's home to me. It's where all the people I love are. And I've gone and like traveled to like different places. Like I've been to LA, and I've been to up kind of towards New York, Pittsburgh, stuff like that. And this is just like the place I like. It's home. It's normal, and I like it a lot for sure. Yeah, San Antonio is really nice. Fort Worth. That's the closest city that's the city I'm closest to, I guess. And Fort Worth is just really nice. It's just pleasant. Dallas. You can. There's a little rough parts of that, but Fort Worth is pretty solid.
Okay, cool. So tell me a little bit about yourself. What do you do for your spare time? What do you enjoy?
Yeah, so I'm a senior in high school. So I'm about to graduate this May, and I've been in choir like 8 years. I'm the president of choir at my high school. I enjoy fishing, outdoor stuff, hunting. I like learning how to do new things, learning how to play chess right now. I've learned how to play pool and bowl and throw darts. And I don't know, I find enjoyment in learning stuff like that. And yeah.
So head of the choir, that's really cool, man. That's really cool. That's like a special physical talent.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's been something that I've really enjoyed. There's a lot of things about just music in general that I've kind of found a home in through all of different phases of my life and stuff. And so, yeah, I just try to invest in it as much as I can, and it got me here. So I've enjoyed the ride. Yeah, so I do play piano, not very well. I just, if you put some music in front of me and give me a couple of days, I can learn, a song, and get it down. I also play guitar. I have a trumpet, and I can produce a few notes with it, but I can't really play anything great. But yeah, I don't write much anymore. Life just got kind of busy, and I just started working this past November. But yeah, in the past, like I have a little recording set up, and I'd just sit down and write something, and it was just a fun pastime. I never really wanted to like get famous or I just enjoyed doing it.
So what kind of values do you hold dear to yourself?
Man, for me, I've got a relationship with God, and a lot of my values come from that. My whole life I didn't grow up in a religious family. I didn't, go to church or anything like that until I met this girl who would later become my girlfriend. and her family kind of like answered some questions that I had, and we had a lot of conversations, and they were able to bring me to a spot where I could like understand God better and want a relationship with Him. And so now a lot of the values I try to employ in my life come from Him, and I receive the power to do those things through Him now.
So was it just the questions that you had that stopped you, or was it really like a feeling that you needed to feel, or what exactly was holding you back from being a Christian in the beginning? I mean, we're all very aware of it early on in our lives.
Yeah, no, so it was a journey for me, and it went through a lot of different phases. There was a time, starting off kind of my whole life up until I was like about 15, I never knew um, if I like really believed in God. Um, and there's I would always go to this camp. It's called Pine Cove. It's in Tyler, Texas, and it's a Christian camp. And my mom sent me there not because it was a Christian camp, but just because they had a bunch of cool stuff and zip lines, and it was just a fun camp experience for me to go on. But while I was there, I would go year after year, and I would get frustrated because everyone there like were from families that went to church, and they knew a lot about their Bible, like they knew how to get around it. I didn't really know like what to add to the conversation, and I didn't know how to like worship, and so every year I tried really hard to like understand, and I tried to get it, but I never could, and it was frustrating until um, my last year there. I had a counselor who had me pray a prayer and ask God sincerely to show Himself to me. And through a very long, drawn out story, God ended up coming through. And I asked Him to show Himself to me and make His presence known to me, and He did. And so that's how I started believing in God. But after that, kind of once I got about like 16, yeah, about 16, 17, I was a partier. Like I fell into a group of friends, and we would drink. I'd have I did a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff that I wouldn't do now, but I did then, and I didn't want to give that up. Was the big thing that kept me from like really being a Christian and living in that, is I didn't want to give up the partying. I knew if I was gonna have like a relationship with God, it would involve me letting that stuff go, and I didn't want to. And that was something I could say honestly to anyone. And so once I met my girlfriend's family, I told them that. I'm like, I really have no interest in giving up that part of my life, and they were like, listen, you aren't the one that has to do that. Like if you want a relationship with God, but you don't want to give that up, then you ask Him, hey, like God, this is where I'm at truly and honestly. I think I like the idea of a relationship with you, and I want to give my heart to you, but I don't want to do this. So if you want me to be yours, I need you to change my heart on this, and you're going to have to come in here and make me not want this. And so I prayed it to Him truly. It was kind of a prayer that was just kind of like, I thought I might have been sticking it to Him, or like, yeah, you can go ahead and try, but it's not going to work. But in the next couple of days, He did it. I didn't have a desire to go do those things anymore. And that got me to a point where it was December 26th of 2020, of 2021, that I finally like decided to give my life over to Him and start living that way. And it's been an incredible, a little bit over a year of that so far.
So something that we all struggle with, I believe, is, a belief in God.
For sure.
A God, any God.
For sure.
Was that last bit there after you met the parents, that's when He finally showed Himself to you, or had He shown Himself to you before?
He showed Himself to me before. Yeah, no, absolutely. So I've got a story just in itself of how God made His presence fully known to me. It was my last year at summer camp, like I had mentioned, and so there was one night, like every night at summer camp, we'd all get together. We go to this gym. They had a worship team, and we'd sing worship songs, right? And so a lot of people were putting their hands up in the air, and they were really getting into it and jumping around and doing all this stuff. But that night, I didn't feel to do any of that stuff. I would put my hand up in the air for a little bit, but I was really just faking it because I just wanted to, blend in with everyone else. And I got really frustrated, honestly. I'm like, my kind of inner dialogue was like, I've been going to this camp for 4 years and I've been trying to figure this out. And I've been honestly just like doing my best to like believe in God because I wanted to, but I was like, I just can't. I can't fully just say, oh yeah, I believe in God, because there was it's relatively easy to explain a world without God. Like, okay, wait, yeah, science makes that easy. You can understand things down to the cell, to the molecule that they exist to, and it's like, well, all right, it's simple enough. And so I struggled with that. So, anyways, my camp counselor, he was really cool, and he related to me a lot. And so he saw that I was upset, and he was like, hey man, you want to like step out for a second? And I was like, sure. And so we kind of went for a walk. It was just him and I, and I was telling him how frustrated I was. And so we went and like sat down, and he kind of like looked, and he was understanding and listened a lot. And he was like, okay, I know you're frustrated, but I want you to try one more thing. And he was like, tonight, just when we turn it in for the night, we had bunk beds in this cabin and stuff. He was like, I want you to pray, but I don't want you to pray like, oh, Holy Father, please, yada yada. Like you can cut all that crap out. I want you to talk to God like he's your dad. He was like, just straight up, honestly, sincerely talk to him and tell him, I want you to show yourself to me just so I can know you. Like, and just truly and honestly pray that and ask that. And he looked at me and he was like, he's going to. And so, I prayed that prayer, and of course I was a little doubtful, but the Lord heard it. And so, um, I could, this next part of the story, I could go on and really tell it for a long time, but I'll give you just a fairly expedited version of it. Um, Essentially, there was this girl that I had met during my time at camp, and the way I met her is there was one night that we could choose to either go to the pool or go to the field, and so I chose to go to the pool. And I went to the pool because like I could do flips off the diving board, and I was like the coolest cat in town, and I thought that was awesome. And so I go, and this whole week I'd been doing crazy crap off the diving board, like gainers and backflips and all this stuff. And so I was like, all right, now's my time to shine. All the ladies are here, like it's time. And I don't know what it was, but I couldn't land a single thing. I got 3 dives in off a high dive, and I was like hurting, like I flopped. And I was like, I don't know what's up, but tonight I can't get off that diving board right. So I was like, I give up. So anyways, I went over to this thing. They had like a blob, it's that big air cushion that you jump on, and then, the other person flies off. And so everyone was in this line. This line was like 40 people long. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get in the blob line. And so I was standing with a buddy of mine. And so we stood there. So anyways, out of this whole line of people, these girls walk up and start talking. And so me and my buddy were like, hey, let's get some chit chat going. And so I ended up talking to this one girl. Her name was, and we kind of hit it off. We went through the line a few times, and we were talking, and I would consider myself a funny guy, so I was cracking her up, and it was a good time. And so then after that, we were like, hey, you going to the pool again tomorrow? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah. I was like, cool, we'll see you then. So kind of for just a little portion of this camp, we like got to hang out and just talk to each other. And it wasn't anything like serious. It was just like a camp little fling, I guess, but it was really cool. And so anyways, camp, concludes, and my parents come and pick me up. And so I'm telling them about my week. We didn't have phones or anything. So like your parents picked you up and you told them everything, and you had a lot to tell them. So we're on the drive back home, and I tell them, I was like, yeah, everyone in the cabin got a girl's Snapchat except for my buddy. And they were like, oh really? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, well, whose Snapchat did you get? And I was like, oh, it was this girl named, and my mom kind of like pauses for a second, and she's like, and I'm like, yeah. And she's like, and I was like, I had, known her last name because I added her on Snapchat or whatever. And I looked at her so confused, and I was like, yeah. And so what it turns out is this girl that I just randomly met in summer camp was the daughter of longtime friends of my parents that I didn't know anymore. And And so we got back to my house, and my mom goes to this photo album and pulls out a picture of me and this girl that I met at summer camp when we were 6 months old, right next to each other. And it was incredible. I was like, dude, and once that happened, I was like, I asked just God to show me his presence. And so I was thinking about it. I'm like, what are the chances? There was 11 weeks of this camp. We both happened to be there at the same week. There's a 50-50 shot of going to the field or going to the pool. We both went to the pool. I couldn't land anything, but I had been landing everything off that diving board all week. Out of this line of 40 people, we happened to stand next to each other. Then and there, I stopped believing in coincidences. I was like, I asked the Lord to show me something in whatever way he wanted to. I didn't expect him to just come down and talk to me, but something so like incredible and just could not have been a coincidence happened in my life. And from then on, I was like, you got me. So, yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's an amazing story, man. Wow. I can't believe you guys had known each other, but so young you didn't have the memory. And then just randomly met, you were crap at the diving board and you both ended up picking the blob.
Yeah, it was really incredible. Like, true. I mean, I've got the pictures in the house today of just me and this girl. We're both babies in the sand at this beach. In this picture that my mom had, it was been in my house my entire life pretty much. And yeah.
Yeah, I believe that there's something out there. This is where I'm at.
Okay.
I believe that there's something out there. I don't know if we got it right or they got it right or the next people will get it right. Sure. I just believe that the thing is out there, and whose ever name it may be, whatever we call it, I think it's the same person, just a different language,
Sure. Sure, man.
So I follow as best as I can the teachings of Christ,
Yeah.
But the believing part, like you were at a younger age, it's still hard for me to get over the fact that, a lot of things can be explained except for that snap of the finger. And that's what stumbles me up every time is, well, who created the bang?
Yeah.
Science's definition, or theory is a bang happened. Well, who snapped their fingers?
Yeah.
And, there's something. But, dude, that's amazing. I've never really asked God myself, hey, I want to meet you as my father, and get to know you and, help me. And I was talking to this guy the other day, and he said, the 3 L's. You've heard of the 3 L's, right?
I'm pretty sure. That sounds familiar.
What have your biggest lessons been so far in your young life?
Man, so taking a trip back, just to kind of like the same place that where you're at, where when I was there, a big part of like my approach to God is I wanted to just understand. I'm like, the Big Bang question that you just said, I literally I smiled when you said it because I'm like, yeah, I asked that same thing. Because I was like, surely that didn't just happen. But I'm like, but who the heck did it? And then, and then you can go down the rabbit hole of like, all right, if someone created the Big Bang, then who created this guy? It's just like the thing that I eventually learned, which, I mean, is kind of frustrating, but I can find peace in it now is as a human, so we're agreeing right now that there's an almighty power, just of some kind. We don't know who it is, but there's a power. And so this power is able to comprehend everything because it made everything. But this power made us with limited knowledge, there are only so many things that a human brain could possibly comprehend. And so in that, there's going to be some things about God that we just aren't meant to know. That either it would just destroy our existence if we knew it, or we just don't have the capacity to know it and we weren't designed to. So that was one thing that I kind of realized. And so another big thing that my girlfriend's family had introduced me to is just as there is a creator, and I believe that there's a Christian God, there's an enemy too. And you get into the story of, Lucifer falling down from the heavens and just like the temptation that Adam and Eve faced in the garden, which implanted a sin nature in us that will follow us for the end of time. there is an enemy and he preys on you. Um, and especially once the enemy, figures out, and by the enemy I'm referring to like the devil. I use the phrase enemy because feel like there's less taboo over it, um, but he pursues you, and when he sees you getting close to a relationship with God, he's going to throw a lot of things at you. He's going to throw, addiction. He's going to throw doubt. He's going to throw depression, anxiety. These are, confusion. He plays any trick in the book, and he is vicious. He's vicious about it, and his goal is to take you away from the Father. His goal, from the very beginning, from Adam and Eve, was to take them away from the glory of God. And so whenever you become conscious that that's a true force in your life, it gives you a different perspective to go about maintaining those values or to protect yourself. You take steps, you instead of, if you're being attacked, you either defend or you go on the offensive and you attack back, kind of spiritually. And so I think that's something that a lot of people don't know, even like, people in the Christian community, that like really that knowledge might change a lot of things for them.
Getting back on subject here with these questions, when was the last time you actually felt seen?
I mean, that's a good question. Truthfully, I've actually kind of been in a season of I don't want to say loss, but like things haven't been going my way. I recently, lost a best friend. We had a falling out. We had been friends for a really long time. My girlfriend and I, we broke up just a little over a week ago. I just had like some unfortunate stuff happen in a choral competition, and so I didn't advance as far as I was hoping. Like there's been a lot of stuff that's really piled on, and it's been tough. Like I'm okay, and I still am enjoying myself and doing stuff, but sometimes I do just take a breath and kind of give myself some slack, because I'm like, you've dealt with a lot. So in a way that I felt seen, I've been able to feel like all of this stuff is happening for a reason, and like what that.
Yeah, I think seeing yourself counts, honestly, acknowledging that, hey man, you're stronger than you feel sometimes.
And a big thing that I'm thinking, like, okay, so if anyone would be looking at me right now, I've got my hands out. And so if my struggle is this much, I'm keeping my hands in the same place, the reward is going to be that much. So if you struggle a little bit, you'll see some reward, as long as, the Lord is invested in it, he'll give you some reward. But if you really struggle and you're going through it and you're like, goodness gracious, like God, you are putting me through the ringer. It's not that he's putting you through it, but he's letting you go through a circumstance where you have to be more dependent on him. So whatever that struggle is, whatever that, suffering is feeling like, you can bet that he's going to turn that into equal growth, and you're going to be that much more blessed coming out of it, and kind of equalizing. And so that's, a way that I feel seen is like, I can tell that the Lord is in this. I can already see things unfolding now, out of these situations that I'm having to deal with, that I know are going to help me. And the exciting part is, I know further down the road, I'll look back on this time and I'll see even more things, even more ways that, I'm like, what, the Lord really taught me something right there. And that came to help me in this next thing that I'm about to deal with.
Yeah, I believe that sometimes, he just sits back, and kind of allows you to learn so that you can make it living this life that he's given you for a long time and be happy. If everything is easy when you're 40 and you finally get that one bad time, it may destroy you.
Yeah.
And by then he may only have 20 years to save you, where, who knows?
Yeah. That's a big part, like, about God that I'm learning about, is like, in the Bible, throughout all scripture, he's referred to as the Father. And you kind of like forget about that. Like, oh yeah, Father, just, yeah, all the church people say that. But like, I think about my relationship with God and the ways he teaches me, just like a real father and a son. And so, a good father doesn't baby his kid and just give him the best while he's a little kid, and then he goes up and he's either a spoiled brat or he's not prepared for the world. A good father doesn't raise a kid. A good father raises an adult. And and that comes with watching your kid struggle sometimes, struggle through learning something. That comes with hard lessons, but it comes with, you know, just love and support, and just a constant love above all else, and a wanting for just the best for you. And that's what God wants, and that's what his relationship with you will always look like. Except the only parallel that's not the same between a father and a son, how I can imagine it, is that he is perfect. No dad on this earth is perfect. There's definitely some that are really close, and there's some that aren't even close. But this father is perfect, and he knows exactly what is right for you. He knows exactly how to love you. He knows, how you work. He designed you. He made you. He knows what the exact timing needs to be. He knows what you need to hear, when you need to hear it. He designed you. He knows how you have to operate to achieve your fullest potential. And that's what he wants to give every single one of us. That's the love that he has for every single one of us.
Yeah, it's amazing. How do you define success? What does that mean for you? Getting ready to turn into an adulthood, how are you going to view success?
I would view success as as your level of like true fulfillment, I guess. Um, and like some people will call, money or wealth success, but people can be extremely wealthy, but on the inside they're not fulfilled. And I don't know, like there's a lot of different definitions of success, but I feel like my version of success would be when I can get to a point in my life where I can look back and I can, of course, you're always going to have some sort of regret or something, but I can just look back and be content and be like, you know what? I'm happy with the way that turned out. I'm happy with where I'm at now. My version of success would involve just me building something. Like I want to have a family, I want to be able to provide for that family, and take them on trips, and do fun stuff, and getting to achieve that goal, enjoy it and live in it, knowing that I'm living in it, and knowing that like, hey, I worked hard, and here is something that, here's the goal that I achieved. And I achieved it honestly. I achieved it, just exactly how God wanted me to, whatever it is, I followed him. And yeah, I guess, I mean, that was kind of a spattering of thoughts about it, but that would be like my first unrefined definition of success, I guess.
No, that's perfect. Perfect. Do you have a bucket list?
I do have a bucket list. Yeah. So surfing's on my bucket list. I'm thinking I'm actually going to be able to check that off. My parents are going to take me on a senior trip this summer. So I'm going to go learn how to surf. I really want to go to Australia. I want to go on the outback and see some cool stuff, and go scuba dive the Great Barrier Reef. And then I think I've got one more thing that's definitely on my bucket list. Goodness gracious, what is it? There's one place that I really wanted to go. I can't quite remember it, but yeah, I've got a few things, a lot of like travel that I want to go do.
So is Australia somewhere that's always been the place you want to visit?
Weirdly, yes, it has. It's funny, my inspiration to want to go to Australia was Steve Irwin and like the Irwin
I
family.
knew you were going to say that. In my head, I was like, he's going to say Steve. That's everyone's reason.
Dude, like, I mean, just what an incredible guy, like getting to just watch him in his appreciation for nature and what was there. And I want to go and appreciate it too. And then also, I don't know, it's a journey to get there in a way, it's all the way across the world. And they've got just, some beautiful beaches, some great things to see. And yeah, I don't know. It's strange. I just want to go there.
What? Real quick before this last question here, I forgot to ask back there. You said your parents weren't religious before. Has that changed now, or how did they feel when you were coming back from church camp that very last time, kind of serious about this?
Yeah, so it's been tough with my parents. So both of my parents have negative experiences in the church, and negative experiences just like with religion. And so when I say religion, I really talk about the congregation aspect of it. You get into denominations, and there are some churches out there that truly, like, I mean, we talked about the enemy. I'm like, that is a place of the enemy right there, because these people have a horrific misunderstanding of what the Lord is and what He's for and what it's about, and that really can hurt some people. And so they've always been supportive. Like I love my parents in that, like, they respect me in the fact that, like, they want me to figure it out for myself. And they've never swatted down everything I've said or anything like that. They'll listen to me. My mom will listen to me a lot. My dad kind of tunes out after a while, but that's one thing that I do, pray for is I want to, see my parents kind of brought into a relationship with God like the one I have. And it was tough at first because I, had this like amazing conviction when I gave my life to Christ officially, and I wanted to just, like, batten down the hatches. I'm getting these people on board whether they like it or not, and I didn't like force them, or I didn't like go up to them like a crazy person on the street and be like, hey, yada yada, but I tried and did not see any success. And so that was something that I needed to work out with the Lord, and kind of the answer I got back was, He was like, well, one thing I learned about prayer is if you pray something and you look at God's word and you see this aligns with what He believes, so it's not a sin of any kind, and it's, like God wants to bring people into His kingdom. So if you pray for someone, Lord, I want you to go get this person and bring them into your kingdom, and you pray that prayer in faith, and you pray it over and over again just to prove that you're faithful, He'll do it. And it's not a matter of like, oh, maybe He will, or, oh, God works in this area, maybe He will, maybe He won't. Like, no, He will do it. It's already done in the heavens. If that's the case, if it's His will and you pray it faithfully, it's only a matter of time. And so it might not be today or tomorrow or next month or next year or whatever, like, but you can count on however it looks like He is faithful to do that. And so that's the spot that I'm at with my parents now. And I need to pray more consistently for them. But the big thing that I do is, as I pray for them, and I'm like, God, please just capture their heart in whatever way, in whatever your timing is, whatever it is. Like, I know that it's your will to do it, and I believe that you will, whatever it looks like. So
yeah, I hope that you get through, and I wish you, the most luck in
I appreciate it, man. Thank you, sir.
Saving their souls. Yeah, man. So last question here before I go. Do you have any advice for someone who may be struggling with their life right now?
Advice for someone that's struggling for their life.
Well, just with their life, not for it, but someone who's just going through some hard times.
Okay. Give me a second. I really want to think about this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so should it be geared like more? I mean, I've of course got a spiritual message that I could bring, or should it just be more like a general message for anybody, regardless of what their spiritual life looks like?
I think that you could probably mix the two and reach enough people. I mean.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay.
Yeah.
I would say to someone who's going through a hard time, count your blessings. And count your blessings, whether you're spiritual or not. Just sit there and acknowledge, like, hey, something really hard is happening to me right now, and acknowledge that everything that you're feeling is valid. Like, it's, if you're dealing with anything, whether it's huge or small, if it's making you feel a certain way, then it's valid. And so acknowledge that, but then turn around and be like, you know what, this sucks, but hey, here are some things in my life that I'm so thankful for. Is it a person? Is it like, here's my mom, here's my dad, here's my best friend, here's my brother. Like, just anyone that you're thankful for, think about that person. Think about an outlet that you've got, I am so thankful for, music. I'm so thankful for getting to go swing a golf club, or, getting to be with my team and practicing, or whatever your thing is, sitting down with a piece of paper and making art. Like, be thankful for that, be thankful for things that you enjoy, food that brings you comfort, music that gets you through it. Just really it's so easy when you're struggling to get down in the dumps and focus on all the negative, but just acknowledge the negative, but turn your head and look at some positive. And if you want to thank God for that, that'll strengthen your relationship with him, and he'll appreciate, your thanks. If that's not your jam, well, you can still be thankful for it. And thankfulness brings out a different kind of joy, and can really just be an escape, from something that's, being oppressive to you.
I do appreciate your time, man. I know in my heart that you are going to be an amazing person as an adult, and we are very lucky to have you in this world.
Brother, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome, sir. You have a great night. Yeah, you have a great night.
Have a great night, man.
This one was a bit of a longer episode. I try not to dictate how long an episode has to be. I just ask the questions, and whatever their response is, I kind of try to fit it in here. I hope you enjoyed the episode of Conversations with a Stranger. Please consider liking, subscribing, or sharing this on whatever platform you're hearing this one. Again, thank you so much for listening. I do appreciate it more than I can ever express. You guys have a good day.